Crazy idea. Tekken is a 3D fighting game, and there's this entire mechanic called sidestepping, which is just like, what the heck, man? I see a lot of players online using these moves that have a sidestep sort of built into them, and while I'm not saying you should never use these, they do have their uses. You should probably know that they're generally higher risk, and these moves generally yield a lower reward when compared to just using a regular sidestep and getting a launch. And I think the reason why these moves might be attractive to new players is because when I was new to Tekken, I remember feeling like, man, sidestepping is really hard. I can never seem to dodge anything my opponent does, and I just get blown up every time. Well, I'm hoping to shed some light on the more specific mechanics of sidestepping and like what situations sidesteps should be used for. And I'm hoping with this information you can find a higher rate of success with your sidesteps in your games. To understand when is the best time to be using a sidestep, we have to talk about frame data. And if you have no idea how frame data works at all, there's other people who can explain it a lot more efficiently than I am. So I left some links in the description for you, but for now we're just going to skip to the point and talk about frame data for sidestepping in Tekken. Generally speaking, the best time to sidestep is when you're between 0 or -4. This is because in Tekken 7, on average, sidesteps take about 6 frames to complete the entire length of the sidestep. It's this 6-frame startup of sidestep where the recommendation of sidestepping at -4 comes from. When you're -4, like Paul is here when he blocks Brian's back 1, you're essentially adding 4 frames of startup to your next move. In this clip, Paul is blocking Brian's back 1 and he's trying to press jab, which is normally a 10-frame startup, but because he just blocked Brian's back 1, he's -4, so his jab gets 4 frames added to it, and he's essentially throwing out a 14-frame jab, which will lose to Brian's 10-frame jab every time. So a 10-frame move doesn't work here, but remember our sidestep is 6 frames. So if we're -4 and we're adding 4 frames to our 6-frame sidestep, we now have a 10-frame sidestep, which is just enough frames for us to move out of the way of Brian's jab. Great, so now you understand. So you go online, and the next time you're matched with a Brian, you block his back 1, and you're like, oh, I'll sidestep, and then... Wait a minute. It didn't work. Corporal Smoff lied to me. Brian didn't even do a big homing move, he just mashed jab again and it didn't work. Well, here's the first reason why your sidestep didn't work. Whenever you input a move, your character will automatically realign with the opponent's current position. Here you can see every time Paul jabs, his character turns to face whatever new position Brian is in. This is exactly what's happening in our example here. Brian's jab is hitting Paul's sidestep because Brian delayed his jab just a little bit until after Paul started sidestepping, which caused Brian to realign with Paul's new position and hit him out of his sidestep. So if your opponent is varying their timing a lot and making it hard to sidestep, it's important to sidestep into block so you can safely sidestep, which is really important for getting away from the wall. The last thing I want to talk about is sidewalking away from multi-hit strings. When you're sidewalking, you're moving your hurt box away from your opponent, but the moment you press a button to retaliate with an attack, your hurt box expands a lot, which can get your sides clipped, so you gotta make sure you're certain that you're clean out of the way or the string is over before you decide to punish. Anyways, I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching.